Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Sanch, welcome back to the Bodybuilding News Network. As always, for your daily, at this point it's not daily, but welcome back to BNN. We have your daily installment of Bodybuilding Today, where we talk about hot topics trending in the world of bodybuilding. Now, we are approaching 13 days out from the 2024 Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. We have an episode completely dedicated to men's open bodybuilding, so stick tuned and watch till the end if you want to see our coverage of men's open. Starting with Samson Dauda coming into this show. Between him and we'll talk about Hadi Choopan in just a second, but it does seem that, I took about a week off from the internet, and I took a break to collect myself and get ready for this Arnold Classic weekend just coming up. But when we look at Samson Dauda, he continues to improve. Every time I look at him, he's getting sharper, he's getting harder. But the thing that is very exciting about what Samson's doing in this prep, and something we haven't seen before from him, is he's able to slowly creep into this, I would say, perfection of his physique without him losing a lot of that 3D thickness, that density that we've all been wanting to see from him. Now, we did get to see a good look from him at the Olympia, where he did look relatively large, and the conditioning wasn't crazy impressive, relative to the other people in the top six. But now we're getting to see a very, very conditioned version of Samson, but yet still looking big, still looking competitive. Looking over at Hadi Choopan and Hani Rambod, training out of their Evogen Center, getting ready for the Arnold Classic as well. Clearly, Hadi Choopan, if you don't know, now you know. He's the top two. He's the previous Mr. Olympia champion. He's coming into this show with a vengeance after, I would say, a huge percentage of the world thought that he got overlooked and essentially robbed at this most recent Olympia. Now, what I think is also impressive about Hadi is this is just after a leg training session. And, they're really not saying too much in the description here, just essentially 2 weeks out post-leg training. But what was really exciting and what's interesting to see here is those legs are pumped full, ladies and gentlemen, pumped full of blood, but you can still see a crazy amount of conditioning, a crazy amount of detail as well. And that's something you don't usually see in any competitor when you look at their legs coming into a show. Moving right along, I hope you do appreciate the tempo of these videos as Totoro tries to join the cast here. James Hollingshead looking phenomenal. Every once in a while you mess up that name and you just kind of feel funny about it. But this guy, when I think about James Hollingshead coming into this prep, you got to think this is one of the underdogs. You got to think after the time off, after the surgeries, after all this time that he's been able to put into the gym and to improving his physique, the question is, historically, he's not really come in shape enough to where the conditioning is the strong suit. He uses the structure, the density, the Caucasian dry, as he says. So what I'm really interested to see with James, and I would say each and every one of these people in this video, they have their own interesting story. They have their own unique pieces of the puzzle that are coming together for a very exciting Arnold Classic Olympia. Free pay-per-view, so make sure you guys are following and watching that pay-per-view. But James is one of my picks to really impress everyone and really stand out in this lineup. You got to think, like I said, when he's taken all this time off, he's been able to make some crazy improvements. I can see it. Hopefully you can see it. There's definitely some density there that a lot of people are going to be lacking in this competitive season. And even some of these newcomers are struggling to maintain that level of density. We will look at Marcelo DeAngelis, or Horse MD as most people that know him by. This guy, coming from Classic, being a really big standout name. He came into last year's competitive season hoping to qualify. Samson was in the way, and they had a good battle there in Prague. And I don't believe, did he do Romania as well? I know he did 1 or 2 shows there in the European tour at the end of the year before the Olympia. Now, Horse MD is one of these guys that a lot of people are putting a lot of steam in his sails. They're putting a lot of wind in his sails when you put him next to someone like Rafael Brandao, who is not in this video, but we definitely will cover him in an upcoming video as we do creep in on 2 weeks out, or just under 2 weeks out from the Arnold Classic. But Horse has a lot of potential here. I think he's going to be one of these guys that, with some of these bigger names dropping out, and we still have time for people to drop out, I think Horse MD, Marcelo DeAngelis could be in the top 4 for my prediction video. Stay tuned for that as well. Now, Akim Williams, essentially the rest of the video, we've got one guy I think that could make a big statement here, but the rest of them, the 3 other people we're going to talk about in just a second, including Akim Williams, are gentlemen that I genuinely think are playing catch up. Now, when you look at this description, Akim is saying this is 3 weeks out. Now, if you remember Akim from, I believe it was the, it wasn't the Dominican Republic, it was the Portugal Pro, or no, it wasn't the Portugal, it was the Puerto Rico, right? Is that what the show is called, the Puerto Rico Pro? He looked phenomenal in that show. He looked really impressive. You could see a lot of detail, and that's just not what we're seeing in this hamstring, in this quad shot from the side. He's really known for having crazy horse-like legs, and I'm just not seeing the detail. Yes, we're 3 weeks out. Yes, he has a lot of time, but it is something to keep in mind as we creep towards that show. Now moving into, and let me know if you guys do enjoy this camera angle. Some of you don't care, you just want to see the footage on the screen, but if you guys do appreciate this angle, let me know. Otherwise, I might move it around. We're in a new apartment, if you don't know. But moving into Antoine Vaillant, 2 weeks out from the Arnold Classic, 11 days in his post saying, and he's practicing a modification, a variation of the Arnold Classic, the Arnold Schwarzenegger shot, the 3/4 turn, double bicep with the canted hips, right? And this is a fun shot for him. I would say that you're going to see a little bit of skin folding in the midsection, and that's probably going to go away in the next 2 weeks. Also, you got to think he's just kind of having fun here. He's just practicing this. This isn't the perfection of the shot that he's going to be hitting on stage. So not a lot to worry about here. Antoine, I think, is going to be one of these guys that's going to really want to battle it to stay in the top 6 here. Now, Justin Rodriguez. Now, this one is tricky because Justin's been talking, I'm not going to say smack, but he's been defending himself, saying, you know, everyone's saying things, everyone's running their mouth, and, you know, people can talk, but the only thing he can do is just tuck his chin and go into the stage and show off what he's been doing. And showing off what he's doing right now, this is not what we want to see from someone who was top 2 at prejudging at last year's Arnold Classic. There is not a lot of detail in those hamstrings, in the lower back. I would say overall he looks quite behind. From the front, I think it looks pretty good. The arms, the chest, the midsection looks pretty tight, pretty dialed in, and the legs are pretty streamlined. So I don't have much to complain about from the front. Clearly, I think he could be a top 6 competitor here. I know that's not what he's looking for. He's looking for a win or a top 3, but I don't know if that's in the cards in his current situation. And I'd say the most wild card of wild cards is Mohammed Shaaban. Now, this guy has really been confusing me. He gave us an exclusive update a few weeks back, and ever since then, he's been kind of sprinkling in these type of physique updates. As you can see, Daniel from Bodybuilders Without Borders posting this update, and it is a interesting selection if you're going to be doing a physique update. The midsection is a little bit distended, it's not sucked in, the chest is collapsed, it's just not a very complimentary pose. So I do wonder why this photo was selected of. I'm sure he's putting in a lot of photos with his updates with his coach, and even Sean Ray behind him, a legendary poser, giving him some tips. So it's going to be a very interesting Arnold Classic, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know if you guys like the thumbnail as well. We're kind of mixing it up and messing around with some colors, using our brand colors, or maybe we'll do something different. But let me know. Please give me some feedback down below. I'm happy to be back. Looking forward to giving you guys daily coverage coming into this Arnold Classic, 11 days out from the 2024 Arnold Classic. I'm your host here on the Bodybuilding News Network, Josh Sanch, as always. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.